Okay, we resume Reishis Chochma. We're in the sugya of Hagyo. Kozruz Yo. Liras Hashem Agan Nichbad. Nichbad Miloshin Kovid, which is the Gemacha 32. Keged the Lam Beis Nesivas Chochma. So we had at least one piece on that already. We may have done this piece before. I don't remember. So either way, let's. So we're Os Yud Ches, right? If we did it before, then it could always use more explanation. Vol Yitzanich, but Kamash Pitch Brahmin of Etaglo Sof Permission again, Nichbad could also be based on the Raya Mehimna from Parshas Bo that we brought, before in the Perek Rishon. We're now Perek Sheni of Shar Yira. Shapirshu Mlokar it's Kvodo. That the Zohar explains over there, that Mlokar it's Kvodo. The whole world is filled with his glory. Covered Gematria 32. The whole world's filled with glory. Well, Kvodo Kusis Bracham is going to special Lamas Mil. This is referring to God's glory that's revealed to us from how the worlds extend, from cause to effect and from cause to effect, right? It's all revelation of His glory, and it extends from cause to effect, and that effect itself becomes a cause for a lower effect, which becomes a cause for lower effect, and that's for His covet to spread down to our level. It has to come down the way to our lowly level so we can appreciate. So His covet that is from the highest places in heaven. It's His revelation. It all goes me madrega until it comes down to be visible to us. As the Noah Zohar says, because of God's light does not spread on all the brios. How will we know Him? God wants us to know Him. So His covet, which is His light, His glory, which is all from those, all extensions of those Lamed Beis Nesivas Chochma, which are the Lamed Beis times, it says Elokim by Maisa Reishis, like we learned last time, right? It's all goes, it extends that, it goes from level to level to level. The higher level is the cause for the revelation on the lower level, which is the cause for the revelation on the level beneath it. Right, so everyone gets a revelation of God's light to see His glory. But the beauty of it is that since it's all cause and effect, it means it's a chain. That means, you could steig. If you're massing the glory here, you could climb the chain and get a glimpse of the glory that's on a higher level and get from that a glimpse of glory on a higher level. So there's a reason why it's cause and effect, that it makes a hishtal shalut, a chain reaction, but miloshin shalshelis, a chain that you could climb from if you attain this knowledge of His glory. You could climb from that to its cause, and from its cause to its cause, right? Right, and if God's glory will not shine on all His creatures, how will ever be fulfilled the pasuk of Melokar's quote? The whole world's filled with His glory. His glory is His revelation. So it has to be a revelation of God in every level of existence for the inhabitants of that level to see it. Now, the glory of God is revealed through kaf, the letter kaf, which refers to keser. The less covered below kaf, you don't have covered without the letter chaf. We had this before, right? So now, of course, the keser, right? I should explain what's going on over here, right? Of course, the Esther sphere. So he's going to discuss this in just a few lines. What do we know about God? His glory. We say we know His glory. What's His glory? The way He's Borei Umane. God Himself, we said many times in many different forms. Oh. This is all Menius. Stop it, Sonny. Good doggy. You're not a bad dog. You're not from Hani Kalbin the Chatzifin that want to stop Gilu Yazor. Go to him. Okay. So make Schwarzenegger take her around. Okay. Okay. All right. So now the chaf kesser. All right. So let's go back to this. Benias. Right. What we know about God is the way He's borei umani. That's what we know about it. Right. That's what we know about Him. Right. We call the Esther spheres, right, which are the Asar Mamash Ben Nivra Olam, right? That's what we know about him. Of course, we got to put that into words. We got to articulate, put that power into words, so it could be a message that could be communicated. And we're going to come on to this. I don't want to be a spoiler for what's coming up, but I'll copy the Esther spheres start from Chaf Keser. Right, that's the shorish. Now, of course, the shorish onto its own is invisible, right? So much so that the kesser is called ayin. Chochma is called yesh. It's the first revelation that is visible some way, some form. The kesser is called like the shorish hane'elam, right? But we want that shorish hane'elam to have some type of revelation. So it's called that, the spheres that come from it on extensions from it. So, of course, the makor of the hanhaga, which is what we know about God, is hanhaga, right? The way He's borei, the way He's mani, that's what we know about Him, right? So, of course, the makor is ne'elam, but it's a gilui from the makor, that the gilui also be indicative and be like signposts that it comes from a makor ne'elam that's even higher. And that's the chaf. As if, because we don't really know what it is, we approximate, right? So, and there's no covered below chaf, chaf makes up the word covered. I don't know if that's dubshat in the Zohar, but we could speculate, because the cover is supposed to be a gilui of the chaf, which is the keser. We have to get, some light out of that shorish hane'elam. Right, that even the light that's revealed shouldn't be something separate from it. It should be a hemshech from the shorish hane'elam, and that way it's epis shaychus to the shorish hane'elam, which is the keser. So now, and that's getting on. I didn't want to be a spoiler for this, but now we allude to that this light that is revealed to us, which all comes from the keser, it is revealed through being enveloped, encapsulated in the Lamed Beis Nesivas Chochma. Like we said, after Keser comes Chochma, and Chochma is the Gilui of Keser, and that's what we said. Keser Chochma, Chochma from Keser is Yesh Me Ayin, right? You should know, Ayin is a place. Ayin is a madrega, just a madrega we can't see. When we say God created the world, Yesh Me Ayin, you have to take it in context. There's how it was Yesh Me Ayin, Chochma from Keser, and then there's a higher level of Me'ayin HaMuchlat. When we're talking about how God used to be all alone and there was no such thing as anything other than Himself, which we believe, and that's the fourth yesod of the Rambam, Bria Yesh Ma'ayin. Over there, if you take a look, it's not Ayin, Stam Ayin, but Ayin Muchlat, absolute nothingness. There's something that's called nothing because you just can't see it, right? When there's something that's absolute nothingness, right? Ayin Muchlat. So the Yesod Aravi of the Rambam of Bria Yesh Me'ayin is that HaKadosh created the world out of Ayin Muchat, out of absolute nothingness, right? But then there's something else, even from our perspective, Madregos, every Madrega of Metzias seems to be Yesh Me'ayin because the Keser is a Shorish Ne'elam. So it appears seemingly out of nowhere by our perspective, but that nowhere is something. And that's what we say, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Me'ayin, from where will come my help? I just don't see it, but it's going to come from somewhere. Now, ultimately, Ezri Me'im Hashem, Ose Shemayim Varetz. Right? So now, of course, you could be Mefarshid that maybe also on Ayin Muchlat. There is no solution anywhere absolutely. But if Hashem could make the world out of absolute nothingness, He could also give you help. Ezri Me'im Hashem, Ose Shemayim Varetz. Or you can learn the psukim either way in either context. We have to know that ayin, it depends on context. When we talk about ayin muchlat, absolute nothingness, like the very first instant of creation, or we're talking about how every madrega comes yesh me'ayin. It's the chachma coming out of keser. Now we say it's lamed beis nesivos chachma. Chochma is the revelation, and Chochma has the programming for how the revelation will extend in 32 paths. Right? And he goes on to explain it, so I didn't want to be a spoiler. Now, how do you come up with the number 32? Right? I'm not, look at this. Menias. I'm ignoring the film. All right. Right. How do you come up with the number 32? Gosh, will help us. Um, anyway. All right. The 32 is Yasar Mamos that we said. Yasar Mamoros, right? The 10 utterances, that of course was buried world with, which are connected to spheres. But you also have to put it into words. So you have the 10 Mamoros and the Esrim Vishtayim Oisius, the 22 letters of the Aleph base. The 10 go into the 22. So 10 plus 22, 32. The Kuzrin is Pirusha. I think everyone says this. That's but I remember for the first time in my life, my first exposure to the Sefer Yetzirah was through the Pirush of the Kuzri, the Sefer Yetzirah, Maimar Ravi. That's what he says. Lam Beisivus Chochma is the Esther Spheres and the Esrim Vishtayim Osius. Okay, Esther Spheres, the Asar Ma'amoros. Because even after that's the power that's visible, we still got to articulate, got to put it into words. You got to part with the Esrim Vishtayim Osius. Pirush about Tikkunim. As is explained in the Tikkunei Zohar, Tikkun Lamed Vav, right? Right there, Lamed Beis. This is now through these 32 pathways of revelation. The Lamed Beis Sivus Chochma Shepolu. This is what created all Ma'aser Reishis. That's the 32 times Elokim, right? So even though it's, in general speaking, Asar Ma'amoros, but was articulated with 32 Elokims, which are 32 divine revelations, which are spheres, combined with the Esrim Shtayim Oisius, right? And through that, we have a world that indeed lives out the pasuk of Melo Kola Aretz Kvodo. The whole world is filled with His glory. Mitzazi Kore Havaya Nechbad. That mitzad that he's Yud Kei Vav Kei Nechbad. Nechbad Miloshin Kavod Gematria 32. All right, because His glory is revealed through the Lamed Beis Nesivus Chochma. Shayodo Ubriasako, because indeed, it's the koach of Gili Kvod Shamayim is what created the world, and that's why the world is Gili Kvod Shamayim, because the koach of Gili Kvod Shamayim created the world. Right. Lamas Beis Nesivus is all through these 32 pathways of that are precedented by the midah of Chochma, to extend outwards and branch out and be the revelation of divine glory, and the revelation of glory creates the world. Vukomen, the world is inclusive of these Lamed Beis, right? Nesivus Chochma, right? V'gam keinu nechbad, v'gam keinu nechbad, right? And therefore, the world is also Nechbad, through this, Hashem is Nichbad. Hashem is Nichbad. Yirtza Shu Koshalom V'Kol Mikvod, God is not tied to the world because the world is included in His divine glory. Kol Mikvod Kosalyon Idea Keser, and it's all through the midah of Keser, which is the point of origin. Shua Kaf, which is the Kaf, which is alluded to in the word Kaf of Kavod. It's what the Zohar we quoted before. Hashem lo yizkor b'yichud darba esor b'yichud diaskos. The divine name. It's not called, right, that the 4 letters of the divine name are in a unison, except through the power of the unity of God Himself. That the name Yud Kei Vav Kei should be an expression of the koach of God Himself, right? Should be representative of God Himself and the power of the unity of the Yud Kei Vav Kei of all these midas from the unity of the Ein Sof, right? There's also the cause of all causes that holds them together. And through this, the covet spreads to the lower creations. Besod, Melokos Kvodo, right? Through the secret of Melokos, the whole world's filled with His glory, Lamed Beis Nesivas Chochma, which and the Chochma is the Gilui of the Keser, because it's not a fake glory. It's all it's the glory, even though it goes down to the level that we can see, but it comes from the glory that comes from the glory that comes from the shorish of all. So it's real. So even though it's diluted to our level, it's still real. And we said, and because it's all an extension, you could climb from level to level to higher. If you could appreciate this level of the revelation of glory, you could climb to a higher level of understanding of revelation of divine glory to the higher level, because all the levels are interconnected. The one is the cause for the one beneath it. That is the cause for one beneath it, cause one beneath it, right? And it's all an extension, so it's all a real relationship coming from the source, the Kesser. Okay. With this we can understand, but the point that he makes over here, say that the Maharal talks about often, that first of all, that the Maharal says viewpoint covered is light is covered, right? Gamma arts hira mechvodo, right? Maharal talks about this a lot in a few different places, and the Maharal points out, the Maharal discusses, why is the first thing created light? So that the Maharal deals with light is more on Mitzias because it's the Reishis on Mitzias. So it really could be heard in the words of Maharal, but it was so explained so well by my Rebbe, Ramesh Shapiro, right? That he said, because how do you define existence? Because you have to ask yourself, why is first that God created light? There was nothing to see. It's nothing to see. Nothing to see. It's to create light, and the world was all tohu vavohu, water everywhere. There was no human to see anything, right? Why is first that God created it? When you build a house, when you're going to turn on the lights, the last thing you do is turn on the lights. The first thing you did was turn on the lights before there was anything to see. No, because the whole shorish of existence is Gilui Elokus. That's why first creates light. Light is Gilui. Gilui Elokus is the shor. It's not, there's existence and then you see existence. No. Seeing existence, seeing God's glory is the shorish upon which existence is built. And that's really what we learned over here. The Gilui Kvod Shemaim is the shorish of existence itself, and that's remember that the first thing God created was Or, even though there's nothing to see, but Or is to make visible, and that's the essence of existence. Existence is the glory of God that He wanted to share with you. That is the essence of existence. That's why Or was the first thing created. All right. And that's why Suma Chashuv Kabeis, my Rebbe explained. It's all in the Maharal, really, but that's if not mafurish, then implied. The blind man can't see, can't receive the revelation, so he's out of reality, because that's the essence of reality. But the covet that Rebbe wants to be Megala. The Lamed Beis Nesivas Chochma is the shorsh of existence, and that's murmurs in the fact that Or, which is Gilui, was the first thing created, because the universe is built on Gilui. It's not that there's a universe and there's a Gilui. No. The universe is built on Gilui. Right? Let's just do one more. Now, with this explanation we just said now, we could draw together all the different perushim we said regarding Nechbad, to one derech, or one inclusive derech. And also we wrote earlier that Hashem being Nechbad is that He is the source of all the neshamas, is also included in this all-encompassing pshat that we're going to say, which is predicated over what we just learned. So once we said that Kavod alludes to the Lamed Beis Nesivas Chochma, right? Lamed Nesivas, the 32 pathways of revelation. Now, amongst the 32 paths is the path from which man was created. Kodesh Baruch Hu made man in his, in his tzelem. Adam one neshama that Christ Adam. Now Adam really refers to the neshama, not the guf. The body is guf ha'adam, guf ha'adam, but the adam, shem adam is on the neshama. There's the shem adam is really on the neshama, goes on the neshama per se. The guf is called guf ha'adam, the body of Adam. He says, the body is called the flesh of man. Shenemar, As it says, Al Basadam Lo Yisach, referring to the Shemen Amishcha, you should not smear it on the basar, say Ala Adam. Right, right, right. So the Adam is the Neshama. The Adam is the Neshama. The bar is called Guf Adam or Basar Adam. But no, if you say Yurtze. Right, so now Hanora, according to this, is like this. Because of God's revelation of his glory to us, we are in awe of him. We fear him. We're like the slaves of the king, the servants of the king that see the face of the king. You're just afraid because he's in your presence. You see his glory, right? Someone doesn't see the king, the face of the king, and not where he sits. He's not afraid of the king. You're only afraid when the king reveals himself. You're in awe. The king is somewhere else, in a palace, and I'm outside of us. You're not in awe of the king then. No saying Mora. Right? And the same thing in this week's March. This week's part of right? How awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of Hashem. So also basically no matter because it's a house of Hashem, it's awesome, right? Where there's Gili Elokus, there's awesomeness, and where there's awesomeness, you're for sure afraid, right? So now he follows through. We're in Chaf Umidarkia Yoris Hamel Shalak being up in front of. So now, if you are afraid of the king, you don't look him in the face. Also Moshe when he gets Nevuah for the first time by the sneh, he turns his face away from the sneh. He's afraid to look into at this revelation from Hashem. We also learn person shouldn't walk upright, standing upright, gaivadik. Because that way it causes you, to feel haughty, and if you feel haughty, you don't feel you're a Shemayim. Zoy Samas Rav Alav Hashem She'acham Esrael Shaybo Shloim Mistaka Yoser Me Arbaz also Rav. One of the 10 midas that the Chazal count about what made him so chashuv is that it's not mafurish in the Gemara, but it's brought down in earlier Svarim from Reishis or wherever. A Masor that Rav, he, out of his anava, he just wouldn't look outside of his Dalet Amos. If you're not looking outside down, it means you're looking kind of downish. If you're not seeing past Dalet Amos, and it's all because you're afraid of God who is everywhere. You don't look, the Shechina in the eye, right? Okay, that's of course symbolic, that if you walk Komas Kufa, you feel gaividik, and you would push the Shechina off from you. Another reason why you shouldn't look outside of your Dalet Amos that's brought down is you don't want to see any wrongdoing. You don't want to see any wrongdoing. So he leaves it. He has there are 2 gersos over here. One is the gersa suggests you don't want to say anything bad because it can have a bad ashpar on you. But in the parentheses, another gersa was, that's you don't want to see any aver if you cannot protest it because the guy is doing it is not going to listen and he's stronger than you are. He'll hit you if you say something to him, right? Because he's putting his parentheses because if you are able to protest and give musar and put people on the right path, you should want to see what's going on in your city. So Rav was assuming, good chance I'll see something wrong that I can't correct anyway. They won't listen to me, so better not to see it. Now, of course, at least when you daven, you should be actively conscious of our emunah that Akoshu's glory fills the world. And at least at the time daven, you should be remind yourself of the emes that you're in the presence of God, certainly that you're davening to him, and you should feel during your whole davening type of yira and busha. How these guys dance during davening, I'll never understand. You're supposed to feel yira and busha. Vitatin of lamata, you look down. Kosher pure shows spots of lamata. He who davens should keep his eyes down and his heart up. You have to imagine if you'd see a bright light, that would, blind your eyes. For sure, you wouldn't look up into that light. You have to believe at the time you're dying, the great light of HaKadosh was there, and you have to be, scared, have a respectful awe and look down, not look up. Look in the sitter, don't take your eyes up from sitter, or if you're on sitter, keep your eyes closed. The Kosher Amru Parshas Reishis. Now is also like the Zohar says in Parshas Reishis, Mamash at the beginning of the Zohar. But Maisa Rabbi Kashor Shimon also, right. Rabbi Chia saw Rabbi Shimon after his death. We had a vision of Rabbi Shimon, right? So a divine voice rang out and said, lower your eyes, lo tiskaf reishach. Don't hold up your head. Don't look. Don't look at Rabbi Shimon. You're not worthy. Right. So now we owe Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Chia. Right. Also, he kept his eyes low because the light was so bright. Even with his eyes down, he thought it was must have been a huge light that if must even give light up to very, very far away. And that's the impression he got, even with keeping his eyes down. Right. Right. But also another in the Idra Zuta, by the P'tir of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, Amar Rabbi Abba, so said Rabbi Abba, there was a keep duration. Obviously, I couldn't, at the time of Rav Shimon's death, I could not lift up my head because the light was too much. I couldn't look. Because then we find, other things like that. This is just by the tzaddikim, by the tzaddikim that, b'shas p'tirasam, or if you have zocher to see them after their p'tir, just by the tzaddikim, the light is too strong. You shouldn't look directly into it out of awe and out of respect, right? That's just by tzaddik. Kavachomra Kodesh Baruch Hu, the covet, his covet. Right? So when a person davens, you have to mamish try to envision that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's glory is in front of you. That God, God who is the source of that glory is in front of you. He and God is the source of that light without end. It's very befitting during daven to keep your eyes down because of Kavod Hashem. And also in the Pirkei Rebbe it says, "Shachayos ombos etzokitz coven," right? The chayos, which is the highest ruchni creatures that we know, in the Rambam's Seder and Chosei Torah, they are the top of the 10. They are the number 10, highest in level. We say stand by the kisei hakavod. They can't really see the kisei hakavod. They don't know. They say I am a konkvado. Like the right by the kisei hakavod. The kisei hakavod is invisible to them because of how Hashem is just so beyond their understanding. But still, even so, they can't mamish see the kavod. They are around the kisei hakavod. Be'ema v'yira. Zel shana perak v'yis lashon in the fourth parak of Pirkei Lezer. Chandos also etzah kisei hakavod. The chayos stand by the kisei covered of Hashem. Venom yodos makodo, and they don't know the place of the covered. It's like light that they can't perceive. It's just so high. But the chayos still stand with awe and fear and trembling and sweating. And just from the sweat of their face. Nahar. Shalish Moshech, we also their sweat becomes a rivers of fire that goes before him. Shneimar, a river of fire, right? That comes from before Hashem, before his divine throne. Shaim Srafim on there are two Srafim that stand, one by the right side of God, so to speak, and one by the left side. And they have 6 wings each. Of which of the six wings, what do I need six wings? Well, the function of two out of those six is to cover their face. So they shouldn't look into the Shekhinah. All right, so he's still going to go deeper into this, but if God's light is in front of you, it always is. But during tefillah, we have to believe it is, and it always is. Just we're not zocher to see it, right? But by tefillah, you have to act as if you do see it because you are addressing him. So if you're addressing him, address him as a servant when he's facing the king. So be as if you see him, and therefore keep your eyes down, right? Because one cannot look the Shekhinah in the face, right? During davening, you have to believe you are and act as if you are in the presence of the Shekhinah, even though you always are. And even during davening, you won't see the Shekhinah, but it's apropos to behave as if you do see the Shekhinah because you're speaking to Hashem face to face. So act as if you are face to face with him. All right, he's going to say another deeper shot to pull it all together, but we will stop here for this evening. Okay. Source of all this limud and especially desires that we learned should really bring Kate to go serve Nifik Mengalusa Barachamin. Amen. Can you